an hour to, and yet we're going to hand out $8,000 raises to people, and there are people in this county that can't afford to pay their taxes. They're losing their homes. I mean, I think they should be paid fairly, but this type of increase in this particular year, I believe, is an insult to the taxpayers of this county. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, Representative Algren, and then we'll get back to Representative Tregenza and McConkey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I concur somewhat with Representative Chandler. I do believe that the attorneys in the office are working very hard. I do believe that they are on the lower end of the scale statewide. However, I do believe that a 10% increase in 1 year is probably more than would be in fairness to the taxpayers of the county. So I would like to put forth a motion at this time, if it's appropriate, on that line item for the assistant attorney salaries, the 008 line, in the amount of $170,472. As Representative Chandler.
Can we get a second so that we can discuss that? Is there a second? Second by Representative Chandler. Go right ahead. Thank you.
As Representative Chandler previously alluded to, the $20,000 increase represents basically a 10% increase in salary. The $10,000 overall increase would represent a 5% increase in salary, which I do believe is very, in these times, is a very generous increase to the attorneys. They're doing a fine job. There may be an opportunity to give them the other 5% next year. And if for all of us who are here at this time, we could vote at that time to give them even more additional money. It is up to the Attorney Dewhurst and I suppose the commissioners in concert to decide who would get, how that money would be distributed. I would mention at this time that I believe that your higher end attorneys deserve more of the money. The lower end attorney is one that we could probably allow to let turn over. But the higher end attorney, that needs to be someone who is reasonably stable. That is the person that we did lose. As we all know, the county attorney is an elected position. It does turn over. Having stability at the top of those ranks, I think, is important, but that, I suppose, is their decision. I just wanted to make that as a comment, that I believe would be important to how they structure the salaries. But I believe that would be approximately a fair amount at this time to give them, with considerations that we would look at it again next year.
Okay.
If I could just add one thing.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I just want to point out, just when you're talking about percentages, the lower paid to, the percentage of their increases being proposed in this budget is roughly 15%.
Duly noted. That's why I was making the comment.
Okay, Representative Tregenza, McConkey, and Merrill, and Knox.
Yes, and I thank the representative from Wolfboro for what you've said, but I do plan to vote against the motion. And I would perhaps consider a 1% or a 2% increase, but I will not consider any increase without knowing how it affects the complete expenditure budget worksheet total.
Okay, Representative McConkey.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I wanted to follow up on Representative's comment earlier and on scale. We keep looking at what's the average pay for all of the counties, in the discussion brought up by the representative that's not a fair discussion. I'm aware that at least one of the northern counties commissions a report every year to find out what people in the job force in their county are being paid for those specific jobs. And I would suggest that that's what we should be doing in triggering, if we're looking at attorneys, what's the average attorney doing that, what's the average healthcare worker, and so forth. And I think that would be much better for future discussions if we're dealing with what salaries are in our county as opposed to what they are throughout the state, because I would agree that we'd be skewed up quite a bit to try and do that, and I know our taxpayers don't have the pockets for that. So it's my hope that you could look into that.
I think the Association of Counties does do some kind of study.
I believe we sent out all of the county salary list for everybody, for all the counties. If you didn't get one, then we screwed up. We should have gotten some.
That's a totally different report, Madam Chairman.
Okay.
I'm not looking for what the counties are paying. I'm looking for what in Carroll County, the average, and they pay for a report, this county does, for what the workers in Carroll County are being paid for similar jobs. What are attorneys being paid? What are health workers
Oh, for the
being paid?
for the general
For the population,
not
that's
for the
what we're
county.
looking, that's what I'm looking for, because that's a more fair comparison.
And I'm sure that that's probably not in the commissioner's budget as of right now. Representative Merrill.
Well, I just have one comment. I've been, I guess I hear it in the town too, but I've been on, this is my 8th year on the delegation. And every year we get to the point and say, well, this is not a good year. Let's wait until we have a good year before we do something. Could somebody define to me what a good year is?
Haven't had one lately.
Representative Knox.
I thank Representative Algren for your motion, and I will support it. I think it's a fair compromise on this issue.
Okay.
Ditto.
Commissioner Kenny, do you have
Yes.
something to add?
The board supported all the increases for the assistant attorney. I think that a delegation, except the new members, approve a new nursing home for $23.5 million. A hookup fee for $375,000 for PBS, and maybe $1 million for an old nursing home. And I think that our hardworking attorneys deserve this increase.
Okay. Now, we have a motion on the floor made by Representative Algren, second by Representative Chandler. Attorney Dewhurst, yes, come forward, please.
Representative Patton, members of the delegation. Over the last year, we brought up some important points, and I understand we all have some considerations, but we tried to provide the delegation with all the information that they needed regarding what was actual. And I appreciate the northern reference to the southern reference to other counties. But our jobs in the county attorney's office are the same jobs as in the other counties. We handle caseloads, we handle the same types of crimes, we do things. We also vary on what our responsibilities are on any given year. Sometimes our office is asked to represent the county, which was pointed out by the commission, in civil matters, okay? We save the county a lot of money when we can do that, when we have the qualified staff, and we did this year to do that. We also put before you the problems that we were having on keeping attorneys. Now, even on the compromise situation, I didn't take these lightly. Representative Chandler thinks it's unconscionable to raise salaries. What would you rather have? These attorneys leave to go take other positions, take their experience with them, and then pass the cost on to the county. It's going to happen next year, or it'll happen this year when the people quit. It's not that we don't appreciate the job or the economy or anything to do with that. Many of our salaries, because they are salaried, don't take into effect what other employees in the county are getting. Two of the attorneys in my office don't receive health benefits. That's factored into the equation. There are certain things we can't ask for. I guess there are other benefits that we're not going to get this year. I'm not really sure. We don't get cars, we don't get gas, all of these things that have affected our ability to do our jobs. We're responsible to go all around the county, handle cases all around the county. All I'm asking is that you reconsider the position of where this is coming. This has taken a long time to come to this point. Now, if you want to take the traditional route, I've followed it for years. Just cut it at the end. Wait till the end of the delegation process and cut it in the end with no explanation. We put the information before you, we answered the questions. I thought we had good responses. I didn't know that we were going to have this at the very end. If we had, I would have been glad to participate in the process. 3 of our members of our subcommittee didn't even participate in the county attorney's process. I had to ask for it to be processed because it was that important an issue. I don't want these issues to be lapsed because of a procedural thing. That's how things get missed. The last thing I'm going to ask is on the impound law. I know that's not even on the budget.
Excuse me, Madam Chairman, I think we've already decided that issue. It's not before us. It's not up to be discussed, in my opinion. I'll make that a formal motion if you want it, but otherwise, yeah.
Okay,
Didn't
thank
you
you,
put it
Attorney.
on the agenda?
Thank you.
Okay.
You
No.
asked. You did.
It
You
wasn't
said
in
you
the
were going
budget.
to do that.
I did, I mentioned it.
Okay, there is a motion
Get it down.
before us, made by Representative Algren, second by Representative Chandler, to do the assistant attorney account line of 008 from 180,472 to 170,472. Are you ready for the question?
I would like to speak to the motion.
Yes, go ahead, Representative Trevisan.
Only that, to the members from Wolfboro and Moultonboro and Wakefield, the salaries may seem reasonable, but the folks who I represent in Madison and Albany have not been getting 10 or 15% in salary increases in the last year or two. So I cannot support this. And I would also mention that I'm sure that the folks that Representative McCarthy here represents up in Conway have not been getting 10 or 15% salary increases.
I do hope that you didn't infer that the people in the town of Moultonboro are getting 15 and 20% increases. I assume that you did not infer that.
You're correct.
Thank you, Representative Trevisan. Representative Fleck.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairman. And just to clarify a point that I tried to make earlier, that we're not just simply providing a cost of living increase. This is an increase that is based on the comparative salaries of similar positions around the state. And I would also, I think I could, without stepping out on a limb, say that probably in line with what other attorneys are making in the private sector. So it isn't just a matter of cost of living increase.
All those in favor of the amendment, raise your hand.
A question on the voting first, I just ask, if the amendment fails, then we're back to the
180.
180, but if it passes, it's at 170.
Yes,
Okay.
okay. All those, Representative Algren.
I just want to clarify, since I was the chairman of the subcommittee, this was not something that the subcommittee voted on. This was just my individual motion. Just want to make sure that everyone was clear for your edification.
You were the only one there, right?
Well, but yeah, well.
Can we take a roll call on this? Or call on it,
Okay,
please?
we'll do this. So there's a motion by Representative Algren, second by Representative Chandler, to change 008 line to 170,472. All right? Representative Algren,
Yes.
Representative Babson,
No.
Representative Chandler,
Yes?
Representative Fleck,
No.
Representative Knox.
Yes.
Representative McCarthy,
No.
Representative McConkey,
Yes.
Representative Merrill,
No.
Representative Patton votes no. Representative Schmidt,
No.
no. Representative Treganza,
No.
no. 1, 2, 3, 4,
No.
5, 6, 7 to 4. The motion fails. Okay, is there?
We should try more, maybe that wasn't enough. Maybe we
What
should
we'll
try
do
more.
is we'll take a motion, we'll take a vote on this, and then we'll break for lunch. It's time. There is a, let's see, I would like a motion for 490,876. Anybody wants to make it? That's so moved by Representative Merrill. Is there a second by Representative Schmidt?
They have always now they have issues.
490-876. 490-876.
Sure
Any
we
further
did.
questions, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No?
No.
Okay, with Treganza, Chandler, and Algren in the negative.
If I could just say one thing?
Yes.
With all due respect to the county attorney, the reason for my suggestion that we not talk about the impound, he stated that things coming up at the end, like this salary thing, weren't correct, but then he tried to inject something else at the end, which we hadn't had before us. That's all. We should treat everything the same, is all I was trying to get at. So.
Okay, let's take a break. We can turn off the mic and have some lunch.
Mike, is it on?
Huh?
Where were you?
Yep, it has been. We're not gonna get through this tonight.
I didn't. I didn't. I did. I heard you.
Maybe we can get to everything but the Robin's looking for her, so we can do that. All right, let's go to page 6, victim witness. The other thing is that all my good intentions, I know we won't get through this, so we're going to have our next meeting on next Monday on the 26th. So read your contracts, and we have to approve a budget by the 31st of March. Do we have 31 days?
31 days in March.
31?
That's a Saturday.
It's Saturday. If we don't approve a budget, the commissioner's budget goes into effect. So I'm hoping that what happens is that we will be able to get through with what we want. So let's go to the victim witness assistant grant. Go ahead. What?
Go ahead.
On page 6, a bottom line is $98,915. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Yes, Representative Chandler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a question. Looks like the grant amount we'll be getting is $17,330.
You're looking at the
Where are you?
revenue.
I'm on victim witness.
Which one?
Very first one, 007.
Okay, the
Oh, okay.
salary for 17,330. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, salaries.
Are you, where are you, Gene? What
Talking
page are
about-
you on?
Page 6.
Page 6.
It says grant.
And grant?
All right.
After it.
17,330,
That's
Why does
just
it
what,
say that?
that's just what victim witness is called. It's not.
and that's a
the-
1.8% increase.
That's for the
Right,
secretary.
I got that, but then the grant we're getting, so isn't correlated to that line necessarily.
No,
No.
We get 25,000, is that
Right.
what, is
Yep.
that the amount we're going to get? I'm sorry, I'll get to my question.
okay.
And it deals with the revenue side, but the amount projected that we're gonna get is 25,000, is that correct?
That's correct.
And we can use that to offset anything over here, not just salaries or anything?
No, that's
No,
not, it's
that's
not
not
the correct amount, and it has to be used specifically.
It's not 25,000?
It's $26,500.
Okay.
This year it is 26.5,
Correct.
and it has to be used for salaries?
It has to be used as I applied for it. It has to be used, the additional $1,500 has to be used for travel. In the grant application process, the money is actually laid out exactly how it's to be used. 20,000 of that goes towards salary, and then 5,000 goes towards travel, telephone. I could go get a copy of the grant.
No,
but
so if I
And
may,
1,500 goes to, you got that, 15
The
goes
additional
to,
$1,500 became available last year and is specifically earmarked for travel.
for travel. So you've got, in your 5,000, you have travel, telephone, whatnot.
Yeah.
And then an extra $1,500 for more travel.
Correct.
To cover it with the gas. Yes, Representative Chandler.
so, well, I guess I can wait till we get there, but just, so the revenue should be 26.5.
26.5, right?
It
Yes,
should
but
be.
I'm not sure,
Where
let's
is
see,
That's all right,
We put in 25, it should be
26.
26.5.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go, we're on, we really should be on expenditures, page 6. Representative Chandler will do budget, I
Oh, there it
mean,
is.
revenues later.
Attorney income, there we go.
Okay, anybody have any further questions?
Yes.
Go right ahead, Representative
If I may,
Chandler.
thank you very much. Under travel, we projected a budget of $3,500, which is considerably more than we've ever spent. And I don't know for this question.
You want
You want to
to?
answer that, travel?
Yeah, I'm sorry, what was the question?
The question is, the amount that's being budgeted this year is, well, double or almost double once, a lot more than what we've ever actually spent in any given year. So I just wondered why we needed that much.
Well, we may not, it's just, it's money that's available. We don't get that money unless we spend it. So what Kathy Armstrong, I think, is usually correlates my expenditures and then sends that to the state and gets the grant money. So that money's there to be spent, but if it's not spent, it doesn't come into the county.
So the $3,500 is part of the grant, is that what you're saying?
It is. And it may very well be that we don't spend that. I mean, it's just me, you know, we don't have a big victim witness program. It's me and a half of a person, so the likelihood of us actually spending the entire $3,500 is slim.
My point, why should we budget for it? I'm saying I don't think we should budget that much if we're not gonna spend it.
Okay, well, I apply for that $26,500 every single year, and I get it. I get approved for that money. So if you don't want to put it in, then I cannot apply for it.
Well, if I may, I'm sorry to belabor the point, but you've gotten it every year, but we've spent $1,900, $2,200, and $1,600, so you've still gotten the $26,500. Apparently you said $1,500 was for travel.
It's earmarked for travel, yes.
So as long as we spend $1,500, we get the $26,500.
Yeah. We need to put in for that 1,500
Yeah, I'm all for that.
in order to get it all.
Right.
Yeah.
Put it in the expenses.
So what do we want to do with
Well,
it?
I would just, I mean, even 2,000, because we did spend 2,240. If you average it out, you put $2,000 in that line. But
We don't get what we don't spend. I just want to be real clear on that. What we don't spend, we don't get. We
Travel
have up to
expense on page 6.
$26,500. But if we don't spend it, we don't get it. That's all. So if we spend of this $26,500, if this program expends $22,000, then that's what we get. We don't get the $26,500.
You get reimbursed for this, right? They reimburse for the,
But we want to make sure that we get the 26.5,
so that's what you.
and we take the mileage out of that, that extra over the 25, whatever you put in for. We want to make sure we get what we put in for.
And if I may, I'm sorry,
Make 'em.
we actually spent last year $1,660.
Yes, it's gone up.
And you got for the grant $27,820. So I'm just saying, you don't need $3,500 in the budget for travel to get the whole $26,500 for your grant.
Yes.
Right.
Do you disagree with that?
I agree with that.
Okay, thank you.
So what would you like to do?
I'd like to
Representative?
reduce that line to $2,000.
All right, there's a motion by Representative Chandler to change the travel expense 070
He's going
to have to reduce the grant
to
then.
$2,000. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Who seconded it, Mark?
Yes,
I just have a question.
discussion.
Go ahead, Representative Merrill.
Listen to the commissioners on whatever this figure is in here. Since you're getting this by grant money, it is offset by grant money,
Right.
how do you handle that when you determine the tax rate based on what's shown on the budget? How do you offset it? In other words, if I've got 35,000, I've got a raise by taxes, whatever's in this budget.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And if I have income, I can offset it, or if I have,
The 26.5 is under revenue.
It's listed on this.
It's on the revenue side.
okay, so you will offset it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it really doesn't make any difference what this figure is. It's up to 25,000, it's just offset anyway, okay? Okay, that's really what I.
True, but what Representative Chandler wants to do is reduce the travel money.
Yeah, well, but it still comes out in the wash no matter what you call it.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's got to be accounted for.
Right.
Like she said, if she puts in travel, that is itemized and goes to the state or wherever, and we get reimbursed for it.
Well, another question, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
If you put this budget in with $3,500 in it, or whatever figure
Yeah.
you put in, when you set the tax rate, You use the, forget your offset, you raise the taxes based on it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
So if you've only gotten income of $1,000, right, you can't offset the $3,500 because you've only spent $1,000, so the difference would be raised by tax rate, which would go in a surplus. Am I correct or not?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think you're right.
All right, okay.
We can't put.
The
grant
idea
money
is to
into
spend
Well,
the
whatever.
grant
it goes, I don't know
money
where it goes in the
before we
account.
spend taxpayers' money.
But go in surplus to the town.
Okay. Go
So
ahead.
I'll go on with
Wait a
you.
minute, wait a minute. Let's,
you wanna
let's
know?
try, Representative Babson, Algren, and then we'll go back.
I'd like to ask Representative Chandler if he might consider including the telephone in that too. We've got $1,200 and we've spent $690 in 210 and $473 in 211, and now we're asking for $1,200.
Let's only work on one at a time.
At a time, okay.
Okay, I get a little math crazy here. So, Representative Algren, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay. I guess the bottom line of this all is that we receive grant funds, and they're based on how much we actually spend, okay? What impacts the tax rate is what we write down for the revenue versus what we apply for in the grant, okay? So if we are really applying for 26.5 and we've only written down $25,000, the impact on the tax rate would be to bump the $25,000 in the revenue up to 26.5, because the net effect is we've reduced the tax
But we'll
rate.
do that when we get there, the revenue.
But what she's saying is that she's can only apply for what she is asking for. If she says she can't apply to the state for a 26.5 grant if she doesn't plan on spending 26.5 in grant eligible funds. So if we lower it by $1,500, then we essentially are just going to lower the grant down by $1,500. So the grant
No, I don't
indeed
think
will
so.
be.
That's
Yes.
not true. That's simply not true. She said the whole grant of the 26.5, 1,500 of it was for travel. We spent last year $1,660 on travel. But we received the grant, we still got, I guess, more than, she said she's applied for 26.5 every year. We got 27.8, so that didn't have any effect spending $1,600. And we budgeted 2,300 last year. So I don't care what you do, but it doesn't make sense.
A question of somebody.
Yes, Representative Merrill.
If we budget 1,500 like Gene wants to do, and we're getting a grant, which the grant can get up to 25 or whatever it is, and she actually spends more than the 1,500, it goes 2,500. Can that difference be taken out of the grant since it's a $25,000 grant or not?
I'd like to ask her to say what goes in the salary and what goes in the travel in your request.
I don't, excuse me, I'm not asking anything about salary. All I want to do is on the travel, if you lower it to 1,500, like
2,000.
2,000, like Representative Chandler wants to do, then if she said earlier, I believe, that you had to spend 1,500 to get the grant. I think that came out somewhere. So we've made it 2,000, we had to put that in there, so we've made it $2,000. So we get the grant on the income for 25,000, or whatever we spend it for, I don't know. But now all of a sudden, she has to spend $3,000 on the grant, on travel. So that's $1,000 over. Can she take that? My question is, can she take that money out of the grant? Because the money's there, she just didn't put it down here. So can you do that?
The way we've done it is we put that 26.5 in revenue.
Yeah.
Now, she's got so much in salary and so much in travel. Now, if she uses that 1,500 that's in travel, that's what you got in there, 1,500 for travel?
35.
It's in it.
3,500 for travel.
You got, in your grant,
3,500.
3,500 in the grant?
The way the grant breaks down is 20,000 goes towards my salary. $3,500 is travel. That's grant money. The county pays $300 in my grant application. All my education, $1,600 in my education, that's all grant money. $1,000, there's $1,000, the telephone, that's all grant money. Office supplies, grant money.
The amount?
Office supplies, $400.
Thank you.
So